Coach. What surprised you about this linebacker group in your short time here?
Well, I think what surprised me is just how intelligent already. I mean, we have 3 seniors that have played a ton of football games, and those kids, they know the defense in and out. So it's sometimes even a little nerve-wracking to go into a meeting with 3 guys who are so prepared already. And they've heard everything for now the 7th, 8th, 9th time. But it's nice to have, because there are sometimes things that maybe little tweaks, little nuances of a call that they might have. Hey, this is how we've done it in the past. I can compare how we've done it other places, and then we come up with a solution. So that's probably been one of the best things about it, is just the maturity of the group.
What players do you see competing at the 2 deep right now? Your starters look pretty much set.
Yeah, well, so far, but we hope those, my philosophy is the better our 2s are, the better our 1s are going to have to be, because then there's some competition. I think Nick DeLuca played a little bit sparingly last year as a freshman, took majority of the reps in the spring, and that's really kind of springboarded him up to a position where he can help us. MJ Stump has had, he's got some great movement skills as a player, and I think he can do some things for us as a physical player too. Doesn't maybe always appear like it, but he's a sudden kid and can strike you as well.
Gotcha. Has LJ missing time at Mike this spring hurt him in the transition to Mike?
After 3 days, it's I can't tell you if he has. Of course, sometimes that rust is just because of the summer and those things. It's too early to say. I tell you what, it's great to have him on the field right now, because we can actually see what we're going to look like potentially on the 30th of August.
Gotcha. With the injury to Brian Schatz, you kind of look even thinner up front in the middle. Has there been any talk of how you might shuffle things around?
Right now it's again early, trying to develop some talent. Watch some of these young kids; they're getting a ton of reps. We got to continue just to coach them and utilize every moment we can at practice and meeting times to see if one of these young kids can elevate their game to give us 10, 15 snaps. And then, of course, we keep our fingers crossed for Brian.
And moving on down that list, talking about the defense, NDSU had the best defense in the country.
Yep.
The last 3 years. How do you make them even better than they have been?
I think we continue to work on our fundamentals. I believe personally, and my philosophy is, hey, we have to always fall back on our fundamentals. There's going to be times during the course of a game where you're going to see something new from an offense. You better be able to have great fundamentals to take you through those tough moments so you can get to the sideline and adjust. We're going to continue to stress those, still continue to stress our code green principles and our beliefs, and one of them is we got to play fast, and we're going to continue to pursue the football, create takeaways. We're going to stress that, be even a better tackling football team than we have in the past, and maybe do a couple new things on defense that our opponents won't be prepared for.
How does your experience in the secondary kind of help with the new things that you want to do with having so many players back there who have played so many games already?
I think one, it'll because our kids have a great understanding of what our base defense is. When we do add some new things, it doesn't shock them. All right, they know everything else so well that when we do add something new, sometimes it's a little bit easier for them to focus in.
You look at guys like Jordan Champion, C.J. Smith, Dudzik, Kegel, all have played a healthy amount of football games.
Exactly.
Does that make things easier when you're thinking of things to draw?
Oh, I think so. If we want to get into nickel groups or into dime, we have some luxury with those kids, because we can get a lot of skill and speed on the field at one time. Of course it does.
As productive as Kyle Emanuel has been, he's kind of flown under the radar here at NDSU. He's kind of played behind some guys who are just as good, if not better.
Sure.
Had a big season last year, big play in that title game with the return of the block kick.
Yep.
How do you see him progressing this season?
Oh, I think I think you hit it right on the nail on the head. Probably one of the most under the radar type players out there. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the league right now. He is an high impact player. We just need to continue to find ways to create mismatches with him up front. Maybe move him around a little bit if we have to within our 4-down scheme. So that way, we can find ways to turn him loose and he can continue to make those big plays.
And lastly, what or 2 more questions for you. What young players are standing out? You mentioned DeLuca a little bit. You mentioned MJ Stump. What young players across the entire defense?
Another young man we want, Trey Dempsey. Needs to continue to work and to step up, because I think there's some roles for him this year as well. Up front, a guy like Grant Morgan, is going to be extremely valuable. We need to get him a lot of reps this fall so he can give us some assistance. Otherwise, a lot of our true freshmen, incoming guys, are just trying to, get it all under their belt right now. It's keep their head above water, if you will. But there's a number of other players that, Alex Hahn is a young man who had a good early spring, sprained an ankle, sat out. He's a guy that we need to see elevate his game because he has a ton of potential as a third down pass rushing specialist type of kid, and you hope to get some other just base down snaps with him as well.
Well, let me ask you a question about Alex. If Alex is a third down specialist, could you see yourself moving him to the outside, sliding Mike Hardy inside?
We could, yeah. Yep. Okay, when we talk about getting our pass rushing specialists, we'll line those 4 guys up wherever we may need to, or maybe we manipulate the front a little bit to try to create some mismatches. If it's a Kyle inside or a Mike, or but we need to find out what we have as other pass rushers out there. Derek Tuska is a young man we just talked about who's kind of been out a year, and just kind of getting back into the flow of football. We hope he continues to progress, and after 3 days he's done a nice job. His first football back from 9 to 11 man all of a sudden. There's a lot more guys on the field, so we hope he can continue to grow and develop as a defensive end for us too.
Gotcha. I got one more for you here, Coach. You obviously had to coach against NDSU.
Yep, a few times.
In the last few years here. How do you beat this offense from the other side? When you look at NDSU that way, how do you beat NDSU from the other side?
Man, you have to be physical. You have to match them, play for play, physicality-wise. So your kids are going to have to be in great shape, physically and mentally, because it's going to be a physical game. You talk about the Rams, the O-line up front. Those guys are going to want to try to get after you. The thing that is scary to me right now is just the kid who's spinning it back there. Has a ton of talent, and we hope it translate to game day. But I tell you, Carson is he's a great football player, commands the huddle, and then there's also some you worry at NDSU, you worry so much about the run game, then also you got guys like Vra and Trevor and those guys who can get open on the edges, and all of a sudden now you're trying to defend all 4 corners of the field, because of the talent.
Thank you, Coach.
Hopefully that was all right for you guys.